Please welcome Michelle Yeoh. Great to see you. How are you? I suspect taking on every character is a challenge, but to take on a living icon who still is in the midst of an incredible journey, what was that like to do that?
You know, in this movie, we're always talking about freedom from fear, and it was scary because you do feel a great sense of responsibility because of who Do Suu is, what she represents, not just for the fight, but for millions of people who looks up to her. She has been incredibly inspirational because in this journey, we discovered what true strength is, what it means when you are committed and dedicated to a cause and you're selfless.
But also, it's not just the responsibility to make sure that you reflect her and represent her properly, but that what you say in this film could affect her now and the people around her, and even, perhaps some would say even the safety of her. Were you aware of that sort of reality?
This movie is really about a very specific time of her life. It's really from 88 until 90. That's the bulk of the film. 99, I'm sorry. And it's history. It's facts that cannot be changed. We're trying to show you the very human part of who she is and the love story. I don't think Do Suu could be where she is today without the total commitment and devotion of Michael Aris. And I think when we did this film, it is to show you where that strength was coming from, where this couple who believed in the freedom of people, of particularly the Burmese people at this point, that they don't call it a sacrifice. It is a choice. But what we'd like to see, I'd like you to see, is how difficult those choices are.
Oh, and she was faced with the most unbelievable choice when her husband passed away. She had the choice to leave and go be with him when he died, but she chose to stay.
She has the choice to leave anytime.
Yeah.
I mean, I think sometimes that is even more difficult. If you were just a prisoner with the lock and key in place, there is no choice. You can't go. But there, every day, she is given the option. You know, go. We would drive you with a limousine. We would fly you in a private plane, you know, so that you would go, whether to be with your husband who was dying at that time, to be with your children. It is hard. I mean, what mother would like to leave their 12-year-old and 15-year-old, you know, and leave their husband and family behind? But then I think Burma is her family too. And all these people who were there, who needed her, they became a big family.
You were deported from Burma, weren't you?
Yes, I was. I was very saddened that day.
Did you expect that to happen?
Honestly, I did not, because I was there prior to that. While we were filming in Bangkok, almost to the end of the filming there, and she was just released at the end of November, we all collectively decided, we're just so close. I don't see why we haven't thought about this. We should go. We should try, at least, you know, make an effort to go. We just don't think they won't let us in.
And did part of you think, look, I'm a big star. Like, they're not, I can go anywhere I want.
No, that didn't come into play. But I really wanted to meet her because, you know, I'd been living with this person for the last 4 or 5 years of my life, since the research started and all that. So we handed in our passports. I have a Malaysian passport. And then Virginie Besson, who's our producer, came back a few days later and said, no, all the visas have been rejected, except for you. I'm like, just me? She says, yeah. I said, I can go? She goes, yes, if you want. So then I said, then I'm going.
By yourself?
By myself. Then I think everyone was a little bit worried at that point. I think I've been working too much of this freedom from fear thing. I was fearless in that sense. So I thought, I'm going. I mean, what will they do to me? What can they do to me?
Right.
But, you know, I think Luke and Virginie was, you know, more sensible and said, okay, how about a family member? And I called my brother, and he came, and we went through the immigration. They looked at my passport, and they looked at me. They sort of recognized, because they're great film lovers, the people in Burma. And she goes, and then she chopped my passport, and I'm like, yes! And so we went straight to the house.
What was that moment when you met her? What was that like?
I think I went, I think I was starstruck. But we had spoken on the phone
Yeah.
prior to me arriving in Rangoon. So she literally just opened her arms and gave me the biggest hug. And it felt good.
You're an enormous superstar, and I wonder, do you get scripts for, hey, I want you to play Ellen, or do you get scripts, I want you to play the Asian woman? Like, are you
Oh, yes, you do.
Still getting cast that way?
Well, I think at the end of the day, you will always see me as the Asian woman because, hello, yes, I am. But I think the most important thing is to be able to get past that. If not, otherwise, I will only be stuck in movies and roles that are only written for Asian women. Right. I think nowadays filmmakers have broadened their scope into understanding that the audience don't identify them. Because I think in America or in Europe or everywhere, you find the Asians who have been living here forever. So they're very, very American or Canadian for that matter. So our passport is not on the screen. Malaysian, oops, wrong role.
Yeah. How do you work around that in the system? Because
it's hard, it's not easy, but I think when you believe in what you're doing and you have great passion for and love for your work, you keep fighting the battles.
Yeah. Is that why you produce films too, so you can create different roles for yourself?
Yes and no. Yes, because to be able to find the perfect role, which never comes, and then no, because I love working with creative people. And as a producer, that's what you get to do. You get to put all the right elements together. Because normally, as an actor, you come in and there is a script or there is key people already in place. But for example, The Lady, I was very fortunate. I was the first person they approached. Andy Harris, who's the producer from England, and his wife Rebecca Frayne, who wrote this incredible screenplay.
How pissed off would you have been if they didn't come to you for that script?
I think they would not.
It would be the last movie they ever make.
They would be sad.
Yeah. What do you think of, we've seen the Globe's response to the Arab Spring and people rising up for democracy. What do you think about the rest of the world's response to Burma?
There needs to be better awareness of what Burma is going through. I think this is something that we need to do, and we hope with this film, is that George has always preached the non-violence approach, and that is a slower, longer way, but the healing process is much cleaner. But it's because she looks, I remember the latest interview when someone asked her about Egypt and all that, and Gaddafi and Saddam, particularly Saddam, and she says violence begets violence. And this is not something that she would wish upon her people. She has no anger. That was the one interesting thing that I found when I was with them. Dosu was introducing me to her NLD members, and she said, "Oh, this is so and so, and oh, he's been in prison, not house arrest, for 15 years. Was it 15 years? Yes. He was 11 years. He was 8 years, and this one is just a baby. He was only for 4 months." Yeah. And you look at these people and go, "Aren't you angry? Aren't you ready to?" And I asked them. I said, "Where's this? Aren't you wanting to fight?" But they go, no, our anger is in the tree. We tie it up in the tree. And then when we want, we bring it down, and then we go for our cause, and then we put it back in the tree.
You're a bit of a political figure now because of this choice. Are you comfortable in that position?
Sometimes no, because I think I don't know enough to be able to make all these statements, particularly on behalf of anyone. But, when we were doing the movie, it's true because you might not think about politics, but politics thinks about you.
Sure does.
And everything that you do will involve that. And you have to be brave, you have to be courageous. And I know that I will be doing a lot more because it's the right thing to do.
Sure. I love when people who are in positions of high profile take their positions and use it to deflect some of that sun to them onto other issues. One of the things I love that you do, and not a lot of people do it, is one of the causes is road safety.
Yes.
Including a BBC series, but people don't realize just how dangerous it is in the developing world.
Yes. Well, we have 1.3 million people die on the roads.
That's insane.
I know.
Were you closely affected by it as a kid, or how did this happen?
Fortunately, no. I didn't pick up the course because it affected me like that. I picked up the course because we needed to do something right away. Because, when I was approached to do a public campaign in Vietnam, where they have 26 million motorcycles and no law that they had to wear a safety helmet. So can you imagine the fatalities that was on the roads? And these people used the motorcycle like their cars. I think the record was I saw 7 on one little motorcycle.
I saw 5 in Pakistan, and I ride a motorcycle, and I was blown away. I thought that is the dangerous, most impressive thing I've ever seen.
And where is the balance? You know, it's like the baby with the baby.
And no helmets, none.
No helmets. So that starts because when I champion a cause, whenever you champion a cause, you have to understand where it's coming from and why you're doing it, so that when you speak about it, it's with total conviction. And when you learn that every 6 seconds someone dies on the road, every 30 seconds a child who's going to school will get hit by a car, that, you know, propelled us to do this documentary. I was in South Africa, I was in India, in Costa Rica, mainly in the developing nations, because that's where it's the worst hit. And we launched the Decade of Action, the UN Decade of Action for road safety, global one, and we hope to save 5 million lives and prevent 50 million injured.
You didn't want to be in the Miss Malaysia contest, right?
No way.
What happened?
My mom.
She signed you up.
She signed me up she signed it. She faked my signature.
But you won.
I know. I think I did it just to get her off my back.
Right. And the moment you find out you win, what's that moment like?
I was like, okay, what do I have to do next?
Yeah. What required more fitness training, to be Miss Malaysia or Crouching Tiger?
Which was more difficult?
Yeah.
Oh, Crouching Tiger. I think that was one of the most difficult, simply because I had a very bad injury in the first action sequence. When we were wrapping up on that, we did this exchange jumping kick, and when I landed, I thought someone had clubbed me on my knee. And what had happened was I landed badly and I tore my ACL. So I was in New York, and the doctor, the specialist, basically said, you know, I could tie it up, I could bandage it, but you can't jump, you can't run. I'm like, I'm doing Crouching Tiger, I can't jump. I would be crouching the whole time. So in the end, I said, okay, but what is the other option? So immediate surgery, if you go through an intensive but painful,
like rehab?
Rehab, you would be able to get back into a relatively good state in 6 to 8 weeks, but it is an intensive rehab. So then I called Ang Lee, and he was like, don't worry, I'm going to hold, I was saying, you know, do you need to change? Because we just started filming the first few sequences. And he says, no, we're waiting for you. You just do what you need to do, get well, and come back. So what it was a very physical and mental exercise, because, you know, I was hobbling on the set, and I was working to get it better. And right at the end, the fight sequence that you see was after the surgery.
When's your next fight movie?
There's one called Reign of Assassins that should be coming out, I hope, within the next year.
Very nice. And make sure you check out Michelle Yeoh in her new film called The Lady, about Aung San Suu Kyi. It's great to see you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.